Malibu, California. Malibu/Malibu/ Spanish, Malibu, is a beach city in western Los Angeles County, California, situated about 30 miles, 48 kilometers, west of downtown Los Angeles. It is known for its Mediterranean climate and its 21-mile, 34 kilometers, strip of the Malibu coast, incorporated in 1991 into the City of Malibu. The area is known for being the home of Hollywood movie stars, people in the entertainment industry, and other affluent residents. Most Malibu residents live within a few hundred yards of Pacific Coast Highway, State Route 1, which traverses the city, with some residents living up to a mile away from the beach up narrow canyons. As of the 2010 census, the city population was 12,645. Nicknamed the Bulletin by surfers and locals, beaches along the Malibu coast include Safrida Beach, Zuma Beach, Malibu Beach, Topanga Beach, Point Dume Beach, County Line, and Dan Blocker Beach. State parks and beaches on the Malibu coast include Malibu Creek State Park, Leo Carrillo State Beach and Park, Point Mugu State Park, and Robert H. Meyer Memorial State Beach, with individual beaches, El Pescador, La Piedra, and El Matador. The many parks within the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area lie along the ridges above the city, along with local parks that include Malibu Bluffs Park, formerly Malibu Bluffs State Park, Troncos Canyon Park, Las Flores Creek Park, and Legacy Park. Signs around the city proclaim 21 miles of scenic beauty, referring to the incorporated city limits. The city updated the signs in 2017 from the historical 27-mile, 43 kilometers, length of the Malibu coast spanning from Tuna Canyon on the southeast to Point Mugu in Ventura County on the northwest. For many residents of the unincorporated canyon areas, Malibu has the closest commercial centers, and they are included in the Malibu zip codes. The city is bounded by Topanga on the east, the Santa Monica Mountains, Agora Hills, Calabasas, and Woodland Hills, to the north, the Pacific Ocean to the south, and Sol Romer in Ventura County to the west. Etymology. Malibu is named for the Venturno Chumash settlement of Humaliwa, which translates to "the surf sounds loudly." This pre-colonial village was situated next to Malibu Lagoon and is now part of the state park. History. The area is within the Chumash territory, which extended from the San Joaquin Valley to San Luis Obispo to Malibu, as well as several islands off the southern coast of California. The Native Americans named the settlement Humaliwa, or "the surf sounds loudly." The city's name derives from this, as the hu syllable is not stressed. The village of Humaliwa was located next to Malibu Lagoon and was an important regional center in prehistoric times. The village, which is identified as ca. Land 264, was occupied from approximately 2500 BCE. It was the second largest Chumash coastal settlement by the Santa Monica Mountains, with just Muwu, Point Mugu, being more populated. Baptismal records list 118 individuals from Humaliwa. Humaliwa was considered an important political center, but there were also additional minor settlements in the Malibu area. One village, known as Talipop, was located few miles up Malibu Canyon from Malibu Lagoon. Research have shown that Humaliwa, Malibu, had ties to other villages in pre-colonial times, including Hipuk, in West Lake Village, Lalamanux, by Conejo Grade, and Huam, in Bell Canyon. Explorer Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo is believed to have moored at Malibu Lagoon, at the mouth of Malibu Creek, to obtain fresh water in 1542. The Spanish presence returned with the California mission system, and the area was part of Rancho Topanga Malibu Sequit, a 13,000 acre, 53 square kilometers, land grant in 1802. That ranch passed intact to Frederick Hastings Ringe in 1891. He and his widow, May K. Ringe, guarded their privacy zealously by hiring guards to evict all trespassers and fighting a lengthy court battle to prevent the building of a Southern Pacific Railroad line through the ranch. Interstate Commerce Commission regulations would not support a railroad condemning property in order to build tracks that paralleled an existing line, so Frederick H. Ringe decided to build his own railroad through his property first. He died, and May K. Ringe followed through with the plans, building the Untitled, Malibu, and Port Los Angeles Railway. The line started at Carbon Canyon, just inside the ranch's property eastern boundary, and ran 15 miles westward, past Pt. du May. Few roads even entered the area before 1929, when the state won another court case and built what is now known as the Pacific Coast Highway. By then May Ringe was forced to subdivide her property and begin selling and leasing lots. The Ringe House, known as the Adamson House, a National Register of Historic Places site and California Historical Landmark, is now part of Malibu Creek State Park and is situated between Malibu Lagoon State Beach and Safrida Beach, beside the Malibu Pier that was used to provide transportation to / from the ranch, including construction materials for the Ringe Railroad, and to tie up the family's yacht. In 1926, in an effort to avoid selling land to stave off insolvency, May K. Ringe created a small ceramic tile factory. At its height, Malibu Potteries employed over 100 workers, and produced decorative tiles which furnish many Los Angeles area public buildings and Beverly Hills residences. The factory, located 1/2 mile east of the pier, was ravaged by a fire in 1931. Although the factory partially reopened in 1932, it could not recover from the effects of the Great Depression and a steep downturn in Southern California construction projects. A distinct hybrid of Moorish and arts and crafts designs, Malibu tile is considered highly collectible. Fine examples of the tiles may be seen at the Adamson House and Sarah Retreat, a 50-room mansion that was started in the 1920s as the main Ringe home on a hill overlooking the lagoon. The unfinished building was sold to the Franciscan Order in 1942 and is operated as a retreat facility, Sarah Retreat. It burned in the 1970 fire and was rebuilt using many of the original tiles. Most of the Big Rock Drive area was purchased in 1936 by William Randolph Hearst, who considered building an estate on the property. He sold the lower half of his holdings there in 1944 to Art Jones. Jones was one of the prominent early realtors in Malibu, starting with the initial leases of Ringe land in Malibu Colony. He was also the owner/part owner of the Malibu Inn, Malibu Trading Post and the Big Rock Beach Cafe, which is now Moonshadow's Restaurant. Philip McAnany owned 80 acres, 32 ha, in the upper Big Rock area, which he had purchased in 1919, and had 2 cabins there, one of which burned in a brush fire that swept through the area in 1959, and the other in the 1993 Malibu fire. McAnany Way is named after him. Malibu Colony. Malibu Colony was one of the first areas with private homes after Malibu was opened to development in 1926. As one of Malibu's most famous districts, it is located south of Malibu Road and the Pacific Coast Highway, west of Malibu Lagoon State Beach, and east of Malibu Bluffs Park, formerly a state park. May Ringe had protected the Malibu coast with only a few wealthy Hollywood stars having vacation homes there. Ringe opened up this small area for development in 1926. The long legal battle to protect her beloved Malibu coast had been costly and she eventually died penniless. Long known as a popular private enclave for wealthy celebrities, the Malibu Colony today is a gated community, with multi-million-dollar homes on small lots. The colony has views of the Pacific Ocean, with coastline views stretching from Santa Monica to Rancho Palos Verdes to the south, known locally as the Queen's Necklace, and the bluffs of Point du May to the north. High technology in Malibu. The first working model of a laser was demonstrated by Theodore Maiman in 1960 in Malibu at the Hughes Research Laboratory, now known as HRL Laboratories LLC. In the 1990s, HRL Laboratories developed the FastSCAD computer code, for frequency domain algorithms and implementation, recognized as perhaps the most accurate code in the world for radar cross-section calculations. TRW built a laboratory in Solstice Canyon without any structural steel to test magnetic detectors for satellites and medical devices. Incorporation. In 1991, most of the old Malibu land grant was incorporated as a city to allow local control of the area, as cities under California law, they are not subject to the same level of county government oversight. Prior to achieving municipal status, the local residents had fought several county-proposed developments, including an offshore freeway, a nuclear power plant, and several plans to replace septic tanks with sewer lines to protect the ocean from seepage that pollutes the marine environment. The Incorporation drive gained impetus in 1986, when the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors approved plans for a regional sewer that would have been large enough to serve 400,000 people in the western Santa Monica Mountains. Residents were incensed that they would be assessed taxes and fees to pay for the sewer project, and feared that the Pacific Coast Highway would need to be widened into a freeway to accommodate growth that they did not want. The supervisors fought the Incorporation drive and prevented the residents from voting, a decision that was overturned in the courts. The city councils that were elected in the 1990s were unable to write a local coastal plan, LCP, that preserved enough public access to satisfy the California Coastal Commission, as required by the California Coastal Act. The state legislature eventually passed a Malibu-specific law that allowed the Coastal Commission to write an LCP for Malibu, thus neutering the city's ability to control many aspects of land use. Because of the failure to adequately address sewage disposal problems in the heart of the city, the local water board ordered Malibu in November 2009 to build a sewage plant for the Civic Center area. The city council has objected to that solution. Geography: Malibu is located at 34°150 and 118°4643 W/34.03056° and 118.77861° W/34.03056-118.77861, Malibu, California, GNIS.34.030450, 118.778612. Its City Hall building is located at 23825 Stewart Ranch Road, 34°0221 and 118°4135 W/34.03917° and 118.69306° W/34.03917, -118.69306. The eastern end of the city borders the Topanga CDP, which separates it from the city of Los Angeles. According to the United States Census Bureau, the city has a total area of 19.8 square miles, 51 square kilometers, over 99% of it land. Malibu's dry brush and steep clay slopes make it prone to fires, floods, and mudslides. Carbon Beach, Safrida Beach, Westward Beach, Escondido Beach, Paradise Cove, Point Dume, Pirates Cove, Zuma Beach, Troncos, and Encinal Bluffs are places along the coast in Malibu. Point Dume forms the northern end of the Santa Monica Bay, and Point Dume Headlands Park affords a vista stretching to the Palos Verdes Peninsula and Santa Catalina Island. Directly below the park, on the western side of the point, is Pirates Cove. Because of its relative seclusion, Pirates Cove was previously used as a nude beach, but since nudity is now illegal on all beaches in Los Angeles County, nude sunbathers are subject to fines and/or arrest. Like all California beaches, Malibu beaches are technically public land below the mean high tide line. Many large public beaches, Zuma Beach, Safrida Beach, are easily accessible, but such access is sometimes limited for some of the smaller and more remote beaches. Some Malibu beaches are private, such as Paradise Cove, which charges an entrance fee to keep the crowds at bay. Climate: this region experiences warm and dry summers, with no average monthly temperatures above 71.6 degrees Fahrenheit, 22 degrees Celsius. According to the Köppen climate classification system, Malibu has a warm summer Mediterranean climate, abbreviated CSB on climate maps. The city's climate is influenced by the Pacific Ocean, resulting in far more moderate temperatures than locations further inland experience. Snow in Malibu is extremely rare, but flurries with higher accumulations in the nearby mountains occurred on January 17, 2007. Demographics: 2010. The 2010 United States Census reported that Malibu had a population of 12,645. The population density was 637.7 people per square mile, 246.2/km superscript 2. The racial makeup of Malibu was 11,565, 91.5%. White, 87.4%. Non-Hispanic white, 148, 1.2%. African American, 20, 0.2%. Native American, 328, 2.6%. Asian, 15, 0.1%. Pacific Islander, 182, 1.4%, from other races, and 387, 3.1%, from 2 or more races. Hispanic or Latino of any race were 769 persons, 6.1%. The census reported that 12,504 people, 98.9% of the population, lived in households, 126, 1.0%, lived in non-institutionalized group quarters, and 15, 0.1%, were institutionalized. There were 5,267 households, out of which 1,379, 26.2%, had children under the age of 18 living in them, 2,571, 48.8%, were opposite-sex married couples living together, 403, 7.7%, had a female householder with no husband present, 222, 4.2%, had a male householder with no wife present. There were 269, 5.1%, unmarried opposite-sex partnerships, and 49, 0.9%, same-sex married couples or partnerships. 1,498 households, 28.4%, were made up of individuals, and 501, 9.5%, had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.37. There were 3,196 families, 60.7% of all households. The average family size was 2.87. The population was spread out with 2,366 people, 18.7%, under the age of 18, 1,060 people, 8.4%, aged 18 to 24, 2,291 people, 18.1%, aged 25 to 44, 4,606 people, 36.4%, aged 45 to 64, and 2,322 people, 18.4%, who were 65 years of age or older. The median age was 47.8 years. For every 100 females, there were 100.6 males. For every 100 females age 18 and over, there were 97.0 males. There were 6,864 housing units at an average density of 346.2 per square mile, 133.7/km superscript 2, of which 3,716, 70.6%, were owner-occupied, and 1,551, 29.4%, were occupied by renters. The homeowner vacancy rate was 2.8%, the rental vacancy rate was 11.9%. 9,141 people, 72.3% of the population, lived in owner-occupied housing units, and 3,363 people, 26.6%, lived in rental housing units. According to the 2010 United States Census, Malibu had a median household income of $133,869, with 10.6% of the population living below the federal poverty line. 2000. As of the census of 2000, there were 12,575 people, 5,137 households, and 3,164 families residing in the city. The population density was 632.9 inhabitants per square mile, 244.4/km superscript 2. There were 6,126 housing units at an average density of 308.3 per square mile, 119.0/km superscript 2. The racial makeup of the city was 91.91% white, 8.49% Asian, 0.90% African American, 0.21% Native American, 0.10% Pacific Islander, 1.67% from other races, and 2.72% from two or more races. Hispanic or Latino of any race were 1.48% of the population. There were 5,137 households, out of which 25.3% had children under the age of 18 living with them, 51.5% were married couples living together, 6.7% had a female householder with no husband present, and 38.4% were non-families. 27.3% of all households were made up of individuals, and 6.7% had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.39 and the average family size was 2.86. In the city, the population was spread out with 19.6% under the age of 18, 7.9% from 18 to 24, 26.4% from 25 to 44, 32.0% from 45 to 64, and 14.0% who were 65 years of age or older. The median age was 43 years. For every 100 females, there were 97.8 males. For every 100 females age 18 and over, there were 95.6 males. The median income for a household in the city was $102,031, and the median income for a family was $123,293. Males had a median income of $100,000 versus $46,919 for females. The per capita income for the city was $74,336. About 3.2% of families and 7.6% of the population were below the poverty line, including 6.8% of those under age 18 and 1.1% of those age 65 or over. Panorama. Natural disasters. The Malibu coast lies on the fringe of an extensive chaparral and woodland wilderness area, the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area. Various environmental elements collectively create a recipe for natural disasters: the mountainous and geologically unstable terrain, seasonal rainstorms that result in dense vegetation growth, seasonal dry Santa Ana winds, and a naturally dry topography and climate. Wildfires. The Malibu coast has seen dozens of wildfires. Mudslides. One of the most problematic side effects of the fires that periodically rage through Malibu is the destruction of vegetation, which normally provides some degree of topographical stability to the loosely packed shale and sandstone hills during periods of heavy precipitation. Rainstorms following large wildfires can thus cause a phenomenon known as mudslides, in which water-saturated earth and rock moves quickly down mountainsides, or entire slices of mountainside abruptly detach and fall downward. After the 1993 wildfire stripped the surrounding mountains of their earth-hugging chaparral, torrential rainstorms in early 1994 caused a massive mudslide near Las Flores Canyon that closed down the main coastal transport artery, Pacific Coast Highway, for months. Thousands of tons of mud, rocks, and water rained down on the Pacific Coast Highway like a sluicebox. The destruction to property and infrastructure was exacerbated by the narrow constriction of the road at that point, with beachside houses abutting the highway with little or no frontage land acting as a buffer to the mudslide. Another large mudslide occurred on Malibu Canyon Road, between the Pepperdine University campus and HRL Laboratories LLC, closing down Malibu Canyon for 2 months. Yet another behemoth slide occurred on another main canyon road, Canandume Road, about 1 mile, 1.6 kilometers, up the canyon from the Pacific Coast Highway. This last road closure lasted over a period of many months, with Canon finally fixed by the California Department of Transportation, Caltrans, over a year after the road collapse. Mudslides can and do occur at any time in Malibu, whether a recent fire or rainstorm has occurred or not. Pacific Coast Highway, Canandume Road, and Malibu Canyon Road, as well as many other local roads, have all been prone to many subsequent mudslide-related closures. During any period of prolonged or intense rain, Caltrans snowplows will patrol most canyon roads in the area, clearing mud, rocks, and other fallen debris from the roadways. Such efforts keep most roads passable, but it is nevertheless typical for one or more of the major roads leading into and out of Malibu to be temporarily closed during the rainy season. Storms. Malibu is periodically subjected to intense coastal storms. Occasionally, these storms unearth remnants of the Ringe Railroad that was built through Malibu in the early 20th century. Friday, January 25, 2008, during a storm which was unusually large for the Southern California area, a tornado came ashore and struck a naval base's hangar, ripping off the roof. It was the first tornado to strike Malibu's shoreline in recorded history. Earthquakes. Malibu is within 50 miles, 80 kilometers, of the San Andreas Fault, a fault over 800 miles, 1,300 kilometers, in length that can produce an earthquake over magnitude 8. Several faults are in the region, making the area prone to earthquakes. The Northridge earthquake and the 1971 Sylmar earthquake, magnitude 6.7 and 6.6, shook the area. Smaller earthquakes happen more often. Government. Municipal government. Malibu is a general law city governed with a 5-member city council including the mayor and mayor pro tem. The city council hires a city manager to carry out policies and serve as executive officer. Every even-numbered year either 2 or 3 members are elected by the people to serve a 4-year term. Usually, the city council meets in April and chooses one of its members as mayor and one as mayor pro tem. In 2006, this pattern was deviated from when the council decided to have a cycle of 3 mayors and mayors pro tem in the coming 2 years. Malibu does not have a police force. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department provides law enforcement services to Malibu County, state, and federal representation. In the state legislature, Malibu is in the 27th Senate District, represented by Democrat Henry Stern, and in the 50th Assembly District, represented by Democrat Richard Bloom. In the United States House of Representatives, Malibu is in California's 33rd Congressional District, which has a Cook PVI of D+16 and is represented by Democrat Ted Lieu. Politics. Malibu residents tend to be politically liberal, like much of Los Angeles County. 60% of Malibu voters chose presidential candidate John Kerry in the 2004 election, compared to 39% for incumbent President George W. Bush. Infrastructure. Fire protection is served by the Los Angeles County Fire Department. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, LASD, operates the Malibu/Lost Hills Station in Calabasas, serving Malibu under contract with the city. The Los Angeles County Department of Health Services SPA 5 West Area Health Office serves Malibu. The department operates the Sims/Man Health and Wellness Center in Santa Monica, serving Malibu. The United States Postal Service operates the Malibu Post Office at 23838 Pacific Coast Highway, the Colony Annex at 23648 Pacific Coast Highway adjacent to the Malibu Post Office, and the La Costa Malibu Post Office at 21229 Pacific Coast Highway. Education. Schools. The Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District serves Malibu with 3 elementary schools: John L. Webster Elementary School, grades K-5, located in central Malibu; Juan Cabrillo Elementary School, grades K-5, located in northwestern Malibu's Malibu Park District; and Point Dume Elementary School, grades K-5, located in northwestern Malibu's Pt. Dume District. Private schools include Calmont, Our Lady of Malibu, Catholic, Colin McEwen High School, New Roads, and St. Aidan's School. Malibu High School, MHS, provides secondary public education for both middle school, grades 6-8, and high school, grades 9-12. MHS is located in the northwestern region of Malibu. Pepperdine University, a private college affiliated with the Church of Christ, which is located in central Malibu, north of the Malibu Colony at the intersection of the Pacific Coast Highway and Malibu Canyon Road. Malibu is also served by Santa Monica College, a community college in the nearby city of Santa Monica to the south. Library. Malibu Public Library, a 16,530 square feet, 1,536 square meters, branch of the County of Los Angeles Public Library, is in the Malibu Civic Center complex. The branch has an adult reading area, a children's reading area, a 125-person meeting room, and free parking. The library opened in 1970. Prior to 1970, residents were served by a bookmobile. On April 22, 2012, a grand opening celebration was held to mark the completion of a $6 million renovation of the Malibu Library, designed by the architectural firm of LPA, Inc., and funded by revenue generated from local property taxes. Retrieved at http://www.colapublib.org/lib/malibu/index.php on October 16, 2013. Arts and Culture. Getty Villa, an art museum that is part of the J. Paul Getty Museum, is located just outside the city limits in the adjacent Pacific Palisades neighborhood of Los Angeles. It is owned and operated by the J. Paul Getty Trust, which also oversees the Getty Center in West Los Angeles. The museum at the Getty Villa houses Getty's collections of antiquities, sculptures, art pieces and cultural artifacts of ancient Greece, Rome, and Etruria. The Malibu Art Association, a non-profit organization to foster the arts in Malibu, produces shows, demonstrations and workshops for its members, and offers art for public display throughout the community. The Malibu Garden Club holds an annual garden tour of private, residential gardens. Malibu High School offers musicals every spring and instrumental and vocal musical concerts every winter and spring. Smothers Theater of Pepperdine University's Theatrical Drama Department offers concerts, plays, musicals, opera, and dance. Beaches, parks, and other attractions. The long waves of Safrida Beach, adjacent to the Adamson House and Malibu Lagoon, draw a steady beach and surfer crowd. California State Park land carpets the hills behind Malibu, and provides extensive horseback riding, hiking, running, and mountain biking options, affording many different views of the Santa Monica Mountains, the curve of the Santa Monica Bay, Santa Catalina Island, and the San Fernando Valley. There are many points of access to the Backbone Trail system scattered throughout the local canyons, as well as a variety of smaller, local trailheads. Pacific Coast Highway is popular with road cycling enthusiasts for its vistas. The route also has a reputation for being quite dangerous for cyclists, a fact which inspired the creation of the Dolphin Run, an annual community event commemorating local victims of reckless driving. The Dolphin Run was held each autumn from 1990 to 2004. Adamson House, the unused home site of the 19th century original owners of Malibu, the Ringe family, draws some visitors. In late June 2008, the Malibu Pier reopened after $10 million in renovations. There are several shopping centers in the Malibu Civic Center area, including the Malibu Country Mart, the Point du May Plaza, and the newly opened Malibu Lumberyard, so named for the community lumberyard that used to occupy that space. The Malibu Civic Center is well known for being frequented by paparazzi and tourists looking to catch a glimpse of local celebrities. Malibu Bluffs Community Park and Malibu Bluffs Recreation Area. The former Malibu Bluffs State Park ownership changed hands in 2006 after the California Department of Parks and Recreation transferred the park's 93 acres, 38 ha, control to the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy. They established the Malibu Bluffs Recreation Area, an open space preserve of 90 acres, 36 ha, on the bluffs between the Pacific Coast Highway and Malibu Road, directly opposite Pepperdine University and Malibu Canyon Road. The 100-foot, 30 bluffs rise above Amarillo Beach and Puerco Beach across Malibu Road. 5 public stairways, which adjoin private property, lead down to the shoreline from the base of the bluffs. The trails begin from the spacious lawns in Malibu Bluffs Community Park. The Malibu Bluffs Recreation Area surrounds the 6-acre, 2.4 ha, Malibu Bluffs Community Park, whose 10-acre, 4.0 ha, parcel the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy sold to the city. It consists of the Michael Landon Community Center, baseball diamonds, and soccer fields. Home of the Malibu Little League, MIL, once the largest youth team sports organization in Malibu. That honor was wrested in the 1990s by Malibu AYSO, a youth soccer organization that shares park space, practice fields. For over 20 years, the state parks had tried to kick out Malibu Little League's baseball diamonds and tall baseball fences, with the intention of returning the land to its native wetlands and vegetation. A rider to a California state law was written specifically in the 1950s to allow baseball, with its attendant field accoutrements, to continue being played in the state park. Several generations of Malibuites worked to keep Malibu Bluffs Park for baseball and soccer. Malibu Legacy Park Project. Adjacent to the Malibu Country Mart was a vacant, 20-acre, 8.1 ha, plot of land owned by billionaire Jerry Parenchio and sold to the City of Malibu in 2005 with strict deed restrictions prohibiting any further commercial use. This site is now home to Malibu Legacy Park, an ongoing restoration project undertaken by the city, with broad community support. The city hopes that a state-of-the-art water treatment plant already built will use stormwater runoff that accumulates in the park, making it into an environmental cleaning machine that will end the city's stormwater pollution contribution to Malibu Creek, Malibu Lagoon, and the world-famous Safrida Beach. The Malibu Legacy Park project responds to critical issues: 1. Bacteria reduction by stormwater treatment, 2. Nutrient reduction in wastewater management, 3. Restoration and development of riparian habitats, and 4. The development of an open space area for passive recreation and environmental education. In addition, the project will be linked by a linear park to neighboring Safrida Beach, Malibu Pier, Malibu Lagoon, and Malibu Bluffs Park. The park is located east of Webb Way, and between Civic Center Way on the north and PCH to the south. It was the site of the annual Labor Day weekend Kiwanis Club Chili Cook-Off from 1982 to 2009. In 2010, the Chili Cook-Off and Carnival went on as usual, but moved to still open land across Civic Center Way, on the Ioki property, at the corner of Civic Center Way and Stewart Ranch Road. Further back, it was agricultural land, planted in geraniums, other flowers, and vegetables by the Takahashi family since 1924. As of now, Legacy Park stands in the lot adjacent to the Malibu Public Library. Some dissidents of the park development feel the project was a waste of money because the park does not contain grass areas, only many walkways and plants. What they may not be aware of are the strict passive use restrictions also included in the land purchase agreement. Not only are all ball sports prohibited, but running/jogging and other sports are banned within the park as well. The park does include many educational features: an outdoor class row,